Good morning, Cholleros. Going to be covering a topic today. We'll be talking about a project that has not been built and is not being built. It's called Damiana Residences. 36 homes and 93 condos. This was on the MLS. There were quite a few homes sold here that are not being built out. And right now there is not really a resolution in sight. And I'll start out by saying this, I personally am not involved in any way, shape, or form in this project. I haven't really dug deep into it. I know there's some agents that are, and I don't really hold them, I'm not gonna say accountable, but they were led to believe things that were gonna happen, right? And they didn't happen. We're gonna get you some drone footage of this site because right here it's saying this will be built out to the highest quality and be ready in the spring of 2024. Where are we at, Noah?
We're a little bit past spring.
Yeah, so, and look, delays are inevitable, to be honest. Let's say 3 to 6 months. If you're getting pre-construction and you're not factoring a delay of 3 to 6 months, your expectations, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. But this project is different, right? So what's the outcome, legal problems, So first of all, when this project launched, the renders look great, right? It's single-story homes in Tezal. I had a couple people reach out to me right when it was announced, which led me to believe that it was a pretty good marketing campaign. The thing about this, and we're gonna show you on video, the land in front of it is wide open. And we're talking single-story houses. So no, what do you think is gonna happen if you have single-story homes and you got land in front? Do you think those
View's gone?
Yeah, so naturally I didn't, because the renders just show this straight view to the arch. And personally, I've had stuff like this happen to me before, dude. And it wasn't because I'm a bad person, right? And that's why it's so painful to see this. And I used to be like, hey, it's the agent. And to a certain extent it is, but at the end of the day, it's we have to hold these developers accountable. And once again, I don't know who this is. I don't even know the name of the developer. I just know this project, right? By the way, if you need legal help on this project, Jonathan is a badass attorney who has helped quite a few people on this, okay? And this guy is really good attorney. If you need his information, please reach out to me and I'll give it to you. But when it comes to, these sorts of things, you need a pit bull, and that's what Jonathan is. So now this obviously is not getting built out. I've also, and I don't know if this is correct, but a lot of projects that are happening in Tezal right now, and I think this has a lot to do with the rise in value of the land, are joint venture projects, right? So the developer does not necessarily own the land, right? In some situations, if you do a joint venture and that person owns the land and you're building, and you say that you own the land outright in the contract, that's that's criminal. That could be something that's happening here. Let's say this happens in the United States, right? You have a piece of land, you sell, generally you can have a quick outcome where money will come in, buy out the project and complete it, right? So I know this was offered to other developers, and since you had money that went from buyers to the developer that has been spent, if it was just a developer, it'd make it a lot easier. But since there were contracts and let's say out of these 36 homes, I think at least 20 of them were sold, it gets very complicated. So I know this group that was looking at it, they said hey, we can't get involved with this. So it could get messy. It's disheartening to see, but I will say this is that especially the buy side agents that brought buyers here, outside of the fact if they promised you an ocean view, okay, that's bad, because yeah, they have they're tiered up, so the higher ones could probably have an ocean view, guaranteed, at least some sort, right? But if they did stuff like that, okay, that's one thing. But as far as bringing you to a project and you can't legally, this is something I learned from Jonathan, the attorney, you can't legally no, you're the developer, I can't go to you and ask for documents on your bank statements and how you're doing this. So you can only vet a project so much, which is why it's important to involve recent track history. But
okay, so two big questions. So if 20 out of 36 homes were sold, isn't that usually the problem why developments go downhill is because they haven't sold enough, so they don't have capital to keep building? So what do you think went wrong with this one?
That's a good question. No, that's not the issue here, because you could literally, like, they haven't laid like the infrastructure on the roads or anything. So like the only money that was really spent was like leveling out and tearing up the land. So there was money to do it, right? I just think, so this was, from what I've heard, a first-time developer. Red flag, right? Then there can be some sort of misleading that you own the land outright when you don't, which then can open it up. And that's what I'm saying. If you're in this, dude, you should talk to an attorney. I'm not gonna say that anything like good comes of it, but at least you'll have like a good, it's different if like they didn't say, you know, if they're like, hey, we're in a joint venture, versus like, hey, we own it. And then it's like this, you know, like you led people, you lied, right? And I'm not sure if that's the case, that's what it hurt. But I would definitely reach out to an attorney. But no, I think there's a lot more. And then you got to factor in, Noah, that like at this point, these were sold like 2 years ago. The funny thing is a lot of them got taken off the MLS, which is kind of dirty because people don't want to be associated with it. But basically, that's when the peso went down to like 17 to the dollar. So if you paid, some of these were like, this one was $915,000 for a 4-bedroom. Yeah, dude. And you got to think, these are all like at least 35% down in payments during construction. So you're talking, this person had over 300 grand locked in here. Some of these were like 700, you know?
Probably about $6 billion with.
And so, here's the thing, the land is valuable, right? But no, dude, if they sold that many homes, okay, so there's a project across from there, Punta Marante. It's obviously not a fraud, it's happening, but it's happening slower. But they're building with the money, so the houses are getting built, so there's no difference. So there's something else going on here where that money was being used to do something and it's spent now. Like they spent it. And whether that was on, you know, like hiring people to do stuff. Here's another thing. We were looking at a development, and these guys will do it at some point, but they decided not to do it right now in Tezal. They told me that these guys in Damiana, after they sold, reached out to him to do like the piping, you know, so like they sold stuff and it was just like the renders, you know, so it's just, I don't know, you call it hubris, but maybe somebody younger who wants to get out and show everybody they can do something, and I don't know, you know. And here's the thing, Noah, too, is a lot of agents and buyers reach out to me because I'm not gonna call anybody out by name, and this is really one of the first times I've used a project's name, and I'm not saying anything bad about it. I want the public to know what's going on here. But if you want an attorney who's like up to date on this information, it's Jonathan, you know, or like there's plenty of other attorneys too I can refer you to as well. And, you know, at least maybe people can get together and see what type of resolution there is, but it's not as easy as you would think of something in the States.
So big question, and you talked about this in previous videos, but if you want to know the proper channels or how to capitalize on buying pre-construction, what are the red flags? What do you look for to know that, you know, a project is safe? You know, what advice would you give to someone that wants to buy in pre-construction?
There's a few projects right now that I would buy in pre-construction. Outside of that, I wouldn't.
Care to name the projects that you would buy in?
Nah, because like people think I'm pushing stuff.
Okay.
2025, and I'm kind of speaking more to the Tezal area. 2025 is the year of the resale. What do I mean by that? We have a listing in a community in Tezal, okay? And it's furnished, and man, it's furnished nice, like really good furniture. And it's got an ocean view. It's listed at $460. The developer has a unit that is unfurnished, same view, listed at $520. So like pre-construction goes like this, so these people that bought in the beginning can sell right here where the developer's right there. So, and once again, like if you take, I did a video and this guy reached out and he's like, hey, I'm worried you were talking about my project. And I said, look, what's happening in your project is you're good. They built out the amenities, they have half of it built. It's gonna be a minute, like we need more inventory to come off the market before the developer feels more comfortable in building out the last half of the project. But like right now, you're good. Matter of fact, to be honest, it's not like a fractured community. And I've been in these communities, I've rented in them. It's actually kind of nicer being in those sometimes, living for a little bit, because there's less people there. You know, and you have like this big community now, like for values, it's not good, right? So I told that guy, I'm like, dude, you're fine, especially if you have the long-term horizon. Plus, you're the guy that could sell it at 460 when you bought it here. So you're already in the money. Now, if you bought the new ones, you'd be in trouble. So a lot of agents are fed up dealing with deliveries. And it's not the agents, right? It's the clients that get fed up, and then the agents have to deal with it. But that's part of pre-construction. You know, that property in 2021 was 300. Now it's 425, right? So it's like resales are, and that's what I'm saying. You're seeing it, man. And there's so many people that like, not only have I toured, but that other people have toured that just have not pulled the trigger right now. And we'll see when that slingshot goes back the other way. You know, we got election coming up and all that, but you know, you just need to be very careful. And like for me, like this project in Damiano, like, dude, I just don't want to be, I like to sleep at night, man. So like, I don't want to bring anybody, and generally nobody wants to, right? But like, I'm telling you, I'm going to avoid this at all costs, which thankfully I did in this situation too, because I told you some people reached out. And one of the reasons I didn't was because of the views. But this is the type of stuff that is a huge headache. And like, we would all love for it not to happen in the market. But like, I'm not gonna do it, man, just because, you know, you're messing with people's money and their livelihood. And like, you are responsible at the end of the day, even though that the developer didn't go through on their word, you know? Anyway, we're getting some drone footage. And if you have any questions, I can, you know, feel free to ask, or I can introduce you to an attorney to help.